Here we go.
Which one is more detrimental to an environment? A pookie and a ray or a simp?
Who's worse, the pookie or the simp? And I've been saying it for years. The simp is worse than pookie. I've been saying this. Shout out to Gigi. I said the simp is worse than any pookie or ray you want to name.
When it comes to religion and the things that I believe, I consider myself more of a thinker than a believer. And I do this because I think it's important to regularly challenge your belief system. And Keep It 100 challenged my belief system about pookies and rays when he said this.
The simp is pervasive. You see how salt is in everything? The simp is everywhere. Pookie and ray is limited. The simp is all the way at the top and all the way at the bottom.
I've long been one to castigate pookies and rays. And to be real, if a man is procreating with a large number of women and not taking care of the children, he's destroying the community by default. It's a problem in the Black community. And we can't overlook the fact that the women are not only choosing the pookies, but they're carrying the children to terms because they want to do that. So it's an easy problem to point at and say, this gentleman should not be doing this. But there's a bigger problem, and this is why this particular video by Keep It 100 got me thinking so hard.
Whereas a pookie and a ray, he may put that work in, but he clips his own wings because he's not getting the higher end jobs.
Because we get a lot of pookie and ray soliloquies around here, but the simp is worse than any pookie or ray you want to talk about.
Simp is such a lightning rod of a word. So when I heard Keep It 100 use it that way, I actually took some time and thought about it. And in my estimation, I kind of boiled it down to two particular actions. So the first one is someone that's saying things purposely to keep perceived options open for the chance at relations. So if a guy is trying to say the thing that a girl wants to hear in hopes that sometime in the future, she's going to say, I want to be with you, then that's not operating from a point of principle. And instead it's, I'm trying to say whatever I have to say in order to get what I want. And the second one is an enabling behavior where you're saying things that most cultures simply would not support from a wife. And you hear this quite a bit in a lot of the popular Black love spaces where you hear arguments that most cultures simply would not tolerate from wives. In my opinion, there are two ways that men move in the dating sexual marketplace. One is men who say there is only a certain amount of time, emotional labor, physical cost, etc., that they're willing to expend in acquisition of a female's company. And for those men, when that threshold gets surpassed, it doesn't matter how good she looks, how good she can do certain things when you're intimate. If that threshold gets passed, it's simply not worth it. And the other group is guys who basically value themselves on their acquisition of getting some. And so no matter what you have to say, what you have to do, what ethics are involved, if you do the thing you have to do or say the things you have to say, you acquire it, then that makes you a man, if you will. The problem with simping is that it muddies the difference between women who have maintained the kind of behaviors that men have seen as wife-worthy, remaining petite and in shape, not being boisterous, being modest or dressing modest, even refraining from large numbers of tattoos or keeping their body count low. And a group of women that don't do that want men to see them, even though they might have videos all over the place of them doing things like twerking or have a high body count. They want those men to see them the same way that men see the first group of wife-worthy women. And the simp tells those women the problem is not their behavior, it's the men.
Most dudes who on they square and pursuing their business and walking in there and what they supposed to, them is not asking your body count.
So you're saying body count doesn't matter to a real man? Body
count matters to dudes who not in the count. I'm not worried about who else you with. Only a dude who not on his square is worried about community I don't roll in the
There's
community
girls
of
on the
niggas
right,
you fucking
ladies, to
with.
dry yourselves up with.
Respect.
When you hear this kind of talk where you spare women's feelings and you essentially tell them what they want to hear, it's really honey to their ears. And it harkens back to what Keep It 100 was talking about, where this behavior is so problematic because for Pookie or Ray Ray, he may have a circle of 6, 7, 10 women, and it's all voluntary, so they're doing what they choose to do. But in this situation, this message resonates with 1,500 women in just this post. I don't know who he is, but every time he pops up on my FYB, he's speaking truth. Just his demeanor and mindset oozes divine masculinity, and it's attractive as F. Who else played this more than 10 times? You see 400 women, most likely, agreeing with this post.
Gangbangers, pimps, all these men get bad raps in society. But you know who is the worst motherfucker in America? Is the one who falls in love easily, because he creates a family that ain't shit. Let me tell you something about a simp. A simp will be around an immoral woman and expect all his friends and family to treat her like a queen. And that causes breakdown in society. A cake-ass will be with a bitch you could never be proud of. And that motherfucker will look at his homie like his homie ain't shit. If his homie ever say, man, check your girl. One thing about a weak-ass, he gets a pass because it seems like he a nice guy. But really, that motherfucker's presence around a whole bunch of other people will up everything because he got a unchecked bitch on his side.
Most people won't confuse my delivery with that of Corey Holcomb, but the point he makes is germane to the point of this video. One guy who has a rotation of 9, 10 women and maybe half of them are baby mothers, that doesn't really have a large effect overall. It's relatively contained to that group of women who are disgruntled and they take it out on, I don't know, random guys on the internet or say TikTok because they don't have the relationship they want with that particular guy. But if you have a chorus of men essentially championing behaviors that are overall destructive, not just to the community, but to the women themselves, then it's just a downward spiral. In fact, this simp culture is really a culture killer, because the woman that's halfway in between thinking, should I be more like the women that are getting the attention, or should I be more chaste and wait for the right guy to come along? Well, if that woman on the other side who has babies and has a high body count can say, you're being toxic because you're treating me differently, then the woman that's in the middle is going to lean towards,
I could probably talk for hours how even in terms of asking this question, you are insinuating that my daughter, it is my responsibility to raise her in a way that makes her more desirable at the end of the day, because that is essentially her purpose in life. To answer your question, I do have a daughter, and I will never, and I underscore never here, give my daughter advice that suggests that she should make herself smaller so that people that I don't know will appreciate her more. My daughter is dope as f***. My daughter can sleep with whoever she wants. My daughter will never have a conversation with me where I underscore or uphold or suggest that a person coming to her and saying, oh my God, you slept with so-and-so amount of people, that means you're less valuable to me, holds any weight in my house. My job is to big her up. My job is to support her. My job is to make sure that she's never in a situation where she confuses that with love, because it's not even close.
Some of these dudes are going to get up here and they're going to defend, and they're going to just defend the pussy at all costs. Even if the female is wrong, they can't see it any other way. And we have to move forward. We have to move forward, whether these people understand what we're saying or not, because the men are tired.
History has taught us that a couple of smallpox lace blankets given to a population that is unsuspecting of the kind of damage it can do can decimate a civilization. In this case, we have a father saying that he doesn't care about his daughter's body count and that any man who has an issue with it is toxic, essentially. And so he's essentially grooming a woman that is not going to be a wife. It's a culture that's falling in on itself, a culture that everything is essentially backwards. instead of having a problem with 3 out of 5 women being obese, we have a problem with men who don't want to date women that are over 250 pounds. Instead of having a culture that condemns women for having multiple babies with multiple different men, we condemn men who have issues with dating single mothers. This goes all the way around. And this kind of simping, this kind of culture taken to other cultures, unsuspecting of the kind of damage it could do to the woman that's sitting on the fence that's saying, should I be a good, decent woman and try and be a wife-worthy woman? Or should I do what everyone else is doing because we have an abundance of simps essentially telling me that my behavior doesn't matter because I'm a goddess no matter what? Well, that, thanks to KeepItOneHunned, is the reason why simps are so dangerous, because their message is pervasive. It goes all the way through the culture, and it affects many people who don't even know they're doing anything wrong until they reach the wrong side of 40.
The black man is Batman, right? So here come the police. Batman is looking around, and he's now surrounded by the police. This the try to save the community, right? But the community hates his ass. And here comes the police, here comes Zaddy, and everybody that don't like Batman, they surrounded Batman. The whole, everybody, all his haters, the simps, Pookie, Ray, all these surrounding the progressive black man that's trying to save the community. We're trying to build families, but we don't like you, Batman. You a problem. And when Batman go away and fall apart, where Batman at? Where's Batman at? He's supposed to protect us. He's supposed to protect Batman. What's going on with Batman? We need Batman. But we don't like Batman, but we need him. And Batman just can't walk away from Gotham City.
A point I harp on because I think it's very important for black men specifically who are looking to go overseas as passport bros or even expatriates is to understand that our programming, base level programming, is that we're supposed to be Batman. Or as E40 would say it, we're supposed to be a different kind of captain, if you will, because we, from the very beginning, are taught to believe that here I come to save the day. And it is precisely this culture, one where if a woman is in the middle and she's thinking about saving herself for a special man, and the chorus of men are saying you shouldn't save yourself, you're being selfish, or there's nothing special about you, it pushes the average woman into a territory that most men simply don't want if they are not partaking of this kind of behavior. And to take this overseas is only going to replicate a behavior of the kinds of things that men essentially in other cultures don't deem as wife worthy. What we have learned to essentially accept as black men is not necessarily in our best interest. And carrying these attitudes abroad, one, is going to replicate the kinds of outcomes that we are essentially looking to evade. But second, it's going to draw a sense of ire from the people where you are from, where if you are the type of guy that is going to essentially reinforce a behavior that previously was not seen as wife worthy in that new country, you're going to create issues for men in that country that they are not going to appreciate. Be aware of this, because we are programmed to be Batman. And sometimes we're supposed to be the guy that says, I'm not taking this anymore, I'm gonna bounce. That's the guy that needs to go overseas. A guy that says, I got standards and I'm not putting up with just any old thing. If you're that guy, you'll probably end up finding some acceptance from the other men in the community that you're going to. Stop trying to be Batman and just be a regular one. Thanks for watching. Like, subscribe, comment below. I'll catch you in the next video. Take care, guys.